In the quiet hour, when morning first stirs the edges of creation, a solemn voice awakens like an ancient echo rising from unseen depths, calling weary souls to remember the hidden war that shadows every step and shapes every sacred longing. Before sunlight touches earth, the heavens speak of unseen battles waged within trembling hearts, reminding each wanderer that no one escapes the inner conflict. For the soul's journey is marked by struggle as much as by promise. Through ages long forgotten, prophets carried this truth like fire in their bones, proclaiming that even the strongest spirit can be pierced by familiar weakness. And even the devoted can stumble upon the path they vowed to follow. Those who sought wisdom learned early that human desire is a shifting flame, bending with the winds of temptation, rising toward holiness yet falling toward darkness. While the heart fights endlessly to choose the light that calls it upward, Romans spoke of this ancient tension, declaring that the very thing the soul desires to do often slips through trembling hands, while the very thing it longs to avoid rises repeatedly like a shadow refusing to flee. The apostle cried out that he did not understand his own actions, for he failed to do the good he wanted, yet performed the very thing he hated, revealing a struggle shared by every believer who walks the earth today. The ancient words reminded all who listened that no one stands above this battle, whether priest or wanderer, wealthy or burdened, learned or untrained. For every heart wrestles against the nature that pulls it away from the holy. Yet the message never ended in despair, for woven through every warning was a promise that strength beyond human effort awaited those who sought the Spirit, who alone grants power to rise above the deepest failings. Galatians revealed the secret long concealed. Walk by the Spirit, and the chains of desire lose their grip. For the one who formed the heavens breathes courage into those who surrender their battles into his eternal hands. The prophets saw generations rise and fall, each struggling to break patterns that clung to their souls. Yet victory came only to those who turned from their own willpower and leaned into the strength that flows from God alone. Morning after morning, there's the weary to lift their voices toward heaven, for prayer awakens the inner fortress and summons divine presence to strengthen what human resolve can never sustain. Those ancient messengers taught that the heart becomes strong not by resisting in isolation, but by drawing near to the Eternal One, who reshapes the inner life, transforming weakness into endurance and despair into steady hope. They warn that distractions whisper from every direction, pulling the mind toward fleeting pleasures and empty promises, yet the Spirit speaks with a voice deeper than desire, guiding souls toward life that does not fade. From sacred scrolls to quiet mornings, the message remained unchanged. Renew your heart in prayer, strengthen your spirit through Scripture, and anchor your life in the presence of the holy. For there lies the path to lasting victory. The weary were reminded that God seeks not perfect performance, but surrendered hearts willing to rise after every fall, trusting that His mercy runs deeper than any failure and His grace strengthens every soul that reaches for Him. So, in the early hours, the prophets taught the people to lift their burdens toward the heavens, confessing their weariness without shame, knowing that the one who hears their cries understands the battle better than they understand themselves. The voice of ancient wisdom proclaimed that no sin is too familiar, no struggle to repeat it, for the mercy of God remains steadfast, rising like dawn light to chase away shadows that seemed unbroken through countless nights. Those who listen discovered that transformation begins not in sudden perfection, but in consistent communion, where the Spirit slowly reshapes the heart, making holy what once was broken and strengthening what once trembled. Prayer became the lifeline for those trapped in cycles of defeat, whispering courage into weary souls and reminding them that each step still matters, each cry is heard, and each moment of surrender opens a doorway to freedom. The ancient words urge the faithful not to hide their failures, but to bring them into the light, for the darkness grows weaker when exposed, and the heart grows stronger when surrendered into the hands of the Eternal. Morning prayers were not rituals, but encounters where heaven touched earth, and the heart was reminded that victory is found in God's presence, not in human stamina. For the Spirit alone grants the strength to overcome. Even the prophets confessed their own battles, knowing that no one walks untouched by weakness. Yet they clung to the promise that where sin tries to abound, grace rises higher, drawing every willing soul into deeper restoration. The message declared that those who fall repeatedly are not abandoned, for the eternal walks beside the broken, lifting them again and again until they learn to see themselves through the eyes of the one who made them. Seekers discovered that the heart becomes fortified when nourished by Scripture, for the Word is a lamp that pierces confusion, a sword that cuts through lies, and a shield that guards against the familiar temptations that stalk the spirit. Every morning, the heavens invited the wandering to turn their gaze upward, for true strength flows when the soul remembers its source. And true renewal rises when the heart yields to the Spirit who whispers life into weary bones. The ancient testimonies revealed that human willpower collapses quickly beneath repeated trials, yet the power of God stands unshaken, lifting those who trust Him beyond what they could achieve alone, steadying their steps with unseen hands. Those who walked closely with the Spirit found their desires slowly reshaped, not by force, but by transformation, as the Holy One renewed their minds, aligning their actions with the good they once felt powerless to accomplish. Through prayer, Scripture, and surrendered moments, they discovered a freedom that grew like dawn light, first faint, then steady, until the shadows that once seemed immovable retreated before the radiance of divine strength. The prophets spoke gently to the weary, assuring them that God is not disappointed by their struggle, for He sees the warfare within and honors every small step taken toward Him, even when the path feels heavy. For the one who formed the heart understands its battles intimately and offers not condemnation but restoration, guiding each soul through a process of renewal that unfolds in grace rather than hurry. Those ancient messages called listeners to rise each morning with renewed hope, trusting that God's mercy meets them at dawn, offering strength for today's battles and peace for the wounds carried from yesterday. As the generations listened, they realized that the war within does not prove weakness, but reveals the sacred value of the soul, for darkness fights hardest against what heaven treasures most deeply. The prophets proclaimed that God walks closely with those who struggle, whispering courage into their hearts, reminding them that His love outlasts every failure and His power surpasses every temptation. Each morning prayer became a declaration that failure does not define destiny, for the Spirit shapes the future of those who cling to the Holy One, even when their steps feel uncertain and their strength feels small. The message echoed through centuries that victory does not belong to the flawless, but to the faithful, to those who rise each day to seek God despite their wounds, trusting His presence more than their frailty. The wise understood that the battle against familiar sin is not won in a moment, but over many surrendered mornings, where the Spirit strengthens what once collapsed and plants new desires where old ones once ruled. Prayer became the shield that guarded the heart from discouragement, reminding the weary that God is patient, compassionate, and relentless in His pursuit of their healing, guiding them gently toward freedom. The ancient voices urged every believer to choose God over distraction, to place their attention on what strengthens the soul rather than what drains it, knowing that focus shapes desire and desire directs destiny. Those who followed this path discovered that renewal comes gradually, like a river carving stone, shaping the heart in ways unseen yet undeniable, until the Spirit's work becomes evident in every step they take. Morning by morning, they were reminded that they are not alone in the struggle, for the one who fights beside them is the same one who overcame darkness, carrying victory that He now extends to every willing heart. The ancient teachings declared that God delights in lifting the weary, breathing new strength into trembling spirits, guiding them through battles they once believed impossible to win by their own power. Through each whispered prayer, the soul found grounding, remembering who leads them, who strengthens them, and who transforms them from the inside out, aligning their actions with the intentions held deep within. The prophets promised that those who walk by the Spirit will rise above the pull of old desires, for the Holy One reshapes their hearts until temptation loses its voice and righteousness becomes their natural path. As each generation faced its own trials, the same timeless truth remained: Human willpower may falter, but divine strength endures, lifting the faithful beyond the limits of their own determination into a life marked by victory. In quiet mornings, the heavens called the weary back to grace, reminding them that renewal comes not through perfection, but through surrender. As the Spirit breathes life into places once overwhelmed by weakness, the ancient words echoed that hope is never lost for those who seek God, for His presence restores what was broken, strengthens what was fragile, and transforms what felt impossible into testimony. So every soul, from the faint-hearted to the strong, was invited to rise again to bring their struggle into the light of prayer, trusting that God's mercy will meet them and His Spirit will sustain them. For the Eternal One has promised that those who walk with Him will not be overcome, for His power is made perfect in weakness, and His love carries them through battles they once feared facing alone. Thus, the morning prayer becomes a sacred declaration, calling the heart to lay down its weariness and to receive the strength of God, who renews the spirit and leads the soul into lasting freedom and victory. In this ancient truth, the weary find their hope, the broken find their courage. And every struggling heart discovers that renewal is not achieved by striving harder, but by leaning deeper into the unfailing strength of God.